Hello and welcome back to One More for the Road, a podcast of reviews, retrospectives, and basically anything else we can come to think about and talk about. I am super glad to welcome you to our season finale for season 2. I know, my name is Eric and I'm joined, as always, with
the one and only Felix win. I was like, is that my cue?
That's your cue. We're professional podcasters.
We've been doing this for only a little while now.
This will be, I believe, our 28th episode. It's not quite episode 30 yet, which is kind of crazy because we've been doing this for about half a year now.
Yeah, that's honestly where does the time go?
Right. I mean, our first thing we did in this style, which was not technically part of the podcast, it was our Trails in the Sky first and second chapter retrospective. Right. And that was 8 months ago.
Holy smokes. Wow.
It's kind of insane. But as much as I would love to sit and talk about Trails in the Sky, we are not here to talk about that. We're going to do the finale of our absolutely colossal Trails to Azure review.
Yeah, who wrote this game? Why did they make this game so huge?
You know what's actually crazy? It was pointed out, multiple people have said this to me in our Reverie video. I said, it's the culmination of 500 hours. And someone's like, who the hell's beaten these games in under 500 hours? And I pulled that number from How Long to Beat.
Right, and
How Long to Beat says that Trails to Azure is a 45-hour game.
That's a huge lie.
That I'm like, who? How?
No way.
What?
Nah.
I feel like it might be a 45-hour speed run.
Yeah, right, exactly. No way is because How Long to Beat gives you averages, right?
Right. And
no way.
Who's saying under that?
Yeah, no way.
It's insane. But
they didn't play the game.
They did not. No one did. But before we get into that, we have to finish something. We have to finish our top 3 because I, a terrible person, I skipped right over Felix's top 3 boss musics so we gotta get that. Felix, take it away.
Yeah, so top 3 boss musics for me. I'm actually going to get the super easy one out of the way. Shout out to leitmotifs, by the way. Odds are, if your song has been used as a leitmotif, which I actually think all of my 3 are, you get extra bonus points with me. So the first one is Live and Learn from Sonic Adventure 2.
I love that song so much.
It's so good. Love the use of it. I think there are 2 different instrumental versions for Sonic Adventure 2. There's the actual title screen where you're seeing the little cut-ins of the characters scrolling on the screen, and it's hey, press start. And then when you're actually trying to sift through the menus and pick a mode, there's just the looping guitar riff, and it's oh wow, good song. But
and then it kicks in with the vocals in that final fight. Oh my god,
just was so good. Amazing use of leitmotif.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Keeping it Sonic for a second longer. There's this one song. Hey, this is one song called Villanova from Sonic Rush, and it is the theme that plays when you are fighting against Blaze the Cat, or vice versa. If you're playing Blaze's story, I believe it also plays while fighting Sonic. And it's kind of a slow tempo at first, and it's really nice and jazzy, and then it really picks up in tempo when you enter the final act of the fight, the final clash. And it's just really, really good. I totally recommend giving it a listen. It's nice.
Okay.
It's really nice.
Okay.
Kind of simple, right? It was on the DS using the the DS sound chip and whatever, but I've always loved the sound.
I was about to say, I did not expect that out of all the different Sonic games. I'm all right.
Right.
That actually caught me off guard.
Nice. So this last one that might also kind of catch you, it would be the Oleana battle theme from Pokemon Sword and Shield. My last one.
Oh, see,
Yeah,
I actually don't know what that
that sounds
sounds
like.
like because I've not played
Oh,
Sword and Shield.
it's it's so good, and I believe you've said actually that Sword and Shield was on your list to get to at some point.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
I've definitely wanted to play them at some point. But like I used to play the Pokemon games with my wife. At least like the more recent ones, I'd play with
yeah,
my wife, and she'd
yeah.
have one version, I'd have the other. And because the Switch made that really annoying,
Right.
because we only had one Switch instead of two 3DSs, we just I never picked up either of those games. I will
Right.
say I have heard the gym, like the normal gym leader theme,
Oh yeah.
and that
Yeah, it's
slaps.
good. It's really good. Oleana's theme was kind of unique to me because like when you're speaking with other characters, I can't recall if it actually plays at all when you speak with her, but
Hmm.
when you're speaking to another prominent figure in the game, you can kind of catch a bit of the I guess the main jingle for it while speaking to them, and I was like, oh okay, that sounds really nice, and then it like immediately hits you with this like how would I what genre would it be? I don't even know, like this almost like techno like rock almost,
Oh
like
well.
at least that's how I'm interpreting it. I'm probably super off with that. There's like a bit of violin in there too and everything, and it's just like it's a battle theme, so obviously
Oh
it
yeah.
is like pretty loud, it's like fast tempo everything, and it's just like whoa, like this is really good. The setting for it when it plays too is really good because you don't hear it at any other point of the game. And it, yeah, just really really good battle theme.
I meant to mention this when we are still talking about Sonic Adventure 2 and Live and Learn, and
Yeah,
how Live and Learn is like the main theme of the game. One of
yeah.
the things, and one of my, again, a game that I have said up and down is like one of the best RPGs of our time, Skies of Arcadia. The
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that game does in its final boss is it has like the victory lap kind of music, where when you get a boss below a certain HP, for any boss in the game, that you when you get them below a certain HP, like a kind of an up tempo, like hey, you're doing it, you're winning the fight kind of music plays, and on the final boss, it's the main theme.
Right.
And
Y-
so, like, you hear that, like, da 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 da, and it's like, oh, and like the drums start kicking it. Oh, I love
Just good. It's
it's
just
it's
good.
one of the like most powerful video game moments. I think I like it's like definitely like a top 5 video game moment is
Yeah,
when that theme starts kicking in.
that's amazing, actually. Oh,
Speaking of top 5 video game moments, we're gonna fill out the other 4 on that list
yep.
because we got to talk about the comically large finale of this game. If you have not heard us talk about the rest of this, we have a story recap in the other 4 parts of this review.
Yeah.
Like this is like a 5-7 hour review of this game, but like you can't. I would be hard pressed to recap this game in any smaller amount.
Agreed. Um,
How yeah.
mhm.
No, you go.
I remember around the time we were doing our or preparing to do our like Sky Third review and everything, and sort of just culminating Sky itself as a whole. We were probably anticipating it would be something like what we're doing now for Azure back then.
Oh
Honestly.
yeah. Like Sky the Third was scary to talk about.
Yeah.
Like because it's like how do you talk about a game like that? And like that's terrifying me for Reverie.
Yeah. Right.
Because we're gonna
Yeah.
have like Reverie, we're gonna be like, okay, this game is like I'm scared to play it. I'm
Mm-hmm.
scared to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait to still be hating Kevin in the year
You're
20
right.
in the year 2030 or whatever.
Right. By the time we get to it, it really would be about
Yeah.
then. Yeah. Holy.
How the heck does this finale start? Because I think Lloyd just got off. He just hanging out with Zeit. Big Zeit.
Yeah, kind of part ways between Crossbell and I believe Calvard.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, and Lloyd's trying to figure out like how the heck he's gonna like save everybody, especially Kia, of course.
Hmm.
And shortly after that, I'm pretty sure it's Zeit that kind of calls the big reveal in, and it says, "Oh, yo, don't worry, I know you need allies. I got you covered." And then in comes Wazi after disappearing the way he did, along with Abbas, of course, too.
Hmm.
And then unfortunately, of course, Wazi also comes along with our favorite, not favorite, other green spiky haired individual, Enreese.
Yeah.
Enreese. We love
Look,
Reese.
we got Kevin, and we have the cooler Kevin.
Yeah. Oh
And
God.
Reese. We love Reese in this house.
We do. We do.
Yeah. So yeah. Like it's like, oh, Wazi's one of the Grail Sitter, which we'll get to that at some point.
Gosh, yeah. Whoa.
Yeah, and Lloyd's like, all right, I know. Oh yeah, and they're like, oh, we're gonna help you out, Lloyd. And Lloyd looks him dead in the soul. Is like, all right, I know. Like, all right, she's like a septarian or whatever, right? But Kia, nah. Look at me, my daughter,
Yep.
not your whatever. My daughter.
Exactly.
You do not have custody. You do not have the custody.
Yep. Oh,
And,
what a power move.
Lloyd, this is the moment. This is like one of it might not be the moment, but it was one of the moments where I'm like, oh God, Lloyd like kind of understands that he's like the guy now.
Yeah. Yeah, he really does like take that seat as the main character and says, what? I'm calling the shots.
Yeah, and I love that. Like, I love like Lloyd is still my favorite Trails pro tag that we've had, and it's what he does in Fragments in the finale. Like, it's that cemented him as like one of my favorite characters, like in any RPG. Such a cool dude.
Yeah, like nobody say anything, but I really hope they don't somehow botch that in future games.
Oh my God. Look, he's still our professional bag dropper, but like,
true.
My God, is he good at dropping those bags?
Yeah.
Oh, so yeah, like we get to travel around on Wazi's battle bus and find points to drop on in Crossbell. Is that how like Fortnite works? Like you have like spots you're allowed to drop on, or can you just like drop wherever?
You can go wherever. Like there are obviously like significant landmarks on the map that you can see, right? But
yeah.
But otherwise, yeah, you can go anywhere.
Okay, I always was like kind of wondering how that worked, because I was like, okay, so I see you're on the bus.
Yeah.
And then you fly across, and then like do you have like waypoints you're supposed to get to? Like I was I guess there's like points of interest, and that's where you find good stuff.
Yes, exactly.
I always played I played like a couple rounds of Pabubaja, or however you pronounce PUBG. And I always played that game wrong because I never went anywhere populated. I found a car and then I just drove around. I just played it as the world's most aggressive walking simulator.
Oh my gosh.
And it turns out doing that is great because you can like get into the top 10 without doing anything.
Yeah, that is true. Oh man.
Yeah. So like we have to find warp points. I think the first one is on the sandbar.
Yes, that is correct.
Where we fought the Lapras.
Yes.
And then we head down to the hospital and we get our first party member. And it's the best party member. It's Tia.
Yeah. Like what? I was very happy that she was the first one. We needed her. We needed her so bad.
Oh, she is instrumental to my ability to murder things.
Yeah.
Because, like, at this point, I had Dodge Tank Lloyd fully online and operational, but I couldn't kill anything because Dodge Tank Lloyd is not good at damage.
Right.
and Wazi was there.
Yeah.
Just hanging out, living a good time.
You're right.
And Fran, oh my God, we got Fran
Yes.
back too. What a good day.
Yeah,
Uh,
honestly.
I don't think we could visit Ilya at this point,
Um,
or like if like I think she was like, oh, she's still unconscious or something.
yeah, I do believe you're right.
Because I don't,
When can
and
you?
I only say that because I don't have her. We don't have her in the notes at this point, and I feel like we would probably have said something about her in the notes.
Right, because I do recall going back only after the party was fully assembled.
Uh
So
huh.
I believe you are correct. Yeah, you can't visit.
You could visit her, I think, a little bit before you get the full party together, because I know you could visit her before you had Rishia.
Yes.
We get Rishia spoilers. Um,
Oh.
which I think is the next thing we do, actually. No,
Yeah,
yeah, so you can
it
talk
pretty
to
much is.
her first. You can
Yeah.
talk to her at this point because you literally, that's the next thing we do is we go over to the ancient battlefield because it's like, oh, people are fighting over in the ancient battlefield. Let's go check it out.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's the
Nice. Nice
uh
pronunciation.
yeah, it's awful. And like we get to hang out with Sal for a few seconds and he is livid because
Yeah.
we like we actually like because Lloyd talk no jutsus at Rishia because she's pissed obviously
Yep.
because of Ilya, and he's like, we'll accept you, and you're the best, and you should hang out with us and not get revenge or whatever. And just, do stuff. And Sal's like, I swear to God, Lloyd, I just got her back on contract. I I had blackmail set up. I was good, and now look what you've done. And Lloyd's
Yep.
like, I could literally beat you to death.
Right.
And then Sal walks away, and they like set up a base in that the Sun Temple,
Yep. Right.
which
Right.
you can go visit periodically and like
Oh,
update him on what's going on because
that's
they're just
cool.
holed up there. It's
That's
hilarious.
really cool. I didn't go back there after getting Rishia, so
Uh,
yeah, good
I,
to
I
know.
I went there once, and I feel like you could probably go back a couple more times. I didn't because it's super far out of the way, and I didn't
Yeah.
wanna. Because you have to go all the way to the back, all the way down the big crazy spiral staircase, all the way through the fishing corridor, and then
Ugh,
you have to be like, okay, there's a guy there. Cool.
my God.
They give you I think they give you like a Zerum capsule
Oh, okay.
at some point, so it's like it's worth it.
Yeah.
Like but like, is it really?
Yeah, right. Like I guess to an extent anyway, depending on your difficulty, at that point, what good might a zero powder actually be?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I've been using Zerums a lot more liberally in
Yeah.
Cold Steel 2 than
Okay.
like any other game.
Oh
But
my gosh.
I'm also doing some really unreasonable nonsense.
Oh, I see. I see.
I've done the dumbest possible sequence of events, but you'll get to that. Oh boy, you'll get to that.
I'm excited to learn.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
no.
But after that we go see Jorg,
Yeah.
who's real big mad. It's the same thing that Rishi is mad about. Why did we go visit him?
Oh my gosh. Well, I know for one, like it was discovered that there was a point that they could land at there. And
Mhm.
yeah, for whatever reason, when you do land, like one of the characters, I want to say it's Lloyd even, he prompts the party to go and check them out. Now, aside from learning that he's mad and, obviously he, more fuel to the fire for the I guess rivalry he has with Novartis. I
Mhm.
believe it's otherwise just kind of alluded to that that Ren would probably be making an appearance. Like
Oh yeah, he's been
yeah.
doing tune-ups on Patter Matter,
Yeah.
and we went there to go get info on the Ouroboros people.
Oh, right.
that are floating around. And
Yeah.
Lloyd's like, okay, who the hell are all these people we keep getting beat up by?
Yeah. Yeah.
uh Speaking of getting beat up, we the whole reason we're in that area is because there's fighting in Mainz or whatever.
Yep.
And there's a resistance group, and Randy and Morel have like a small like subsection of the CGF.
Yep.
That
And it figures, right, that
mhm.
that she would be the one to run a resistance group and that Randy would be the one with her, right? It figures.
Oh yeah, well look, Randy had to take care of his girlfriend type
True.
person. It's
True.
amazing. Was this the place with the mines?
Yes.
Oh yeah, so they have the tunnel mined, and like the lights are off, and it's rude as hell.
Yeah.
We
I
both got hit by
was
the same mine too. It was very funny.
I'm so mad at myself. Like I was really confident. I was like, what?
I
Mine?
was
Whatever.
too. I was like,
Yeah.
oh man, I got this. I was super careful. I'm like, all right, I figured it out. And then I was overconfident for that 1 second on that one turn, and it's like,
Yep.
oh, they knew exactly how to do this to me.
Yeah. Oh.
Apparently, if you hug the top wall, you're good for like 90% of it.
I see.
Is the secret. Someone told me that, and I'm like, so if you're replaying Azure, you can just hug the top wall, and there's like one mine you have to be aware of.
My gosh.
Yeah,
Rude.
I'm like, wow, who would cheat like that and hug the wall?
Right.
Yeah, right. It's like
No
walk
way.
through the middle like an adventurer,
Exactly.
protagonist.
Oh, did you only get hit by the one mine or?
Yeah, I got hit by the one, but I had to reset because I was doing a max detective point rank.
Ah.
I did max detective points, and every mine you hit takes a detective point off.
No way. Oh my God, I hit like 3.
Oh yeah, and it's like I don't know if like there's a cap to it
Right.
other than like the number of mines, but like I think it's every time you got hit by a mine, it's not like you gain points, it's that you lose points.
Oh my gosh.
It's actually wild.
That is so rude. Well, okay.
Yep. But yeah, Grace hangs out with us at this point.
Yeah, she happens to be with the resistance group and is like, "Hey, hold on here. The greatest moment in Crossbell history is literally happening right now when you thought I was going to just stay here."
Right? It's like, yo, she's like, nah, I'm with y'all. And
Yep.
I love Grace in this game. It took me a long time to warm up to her, especially on like how she treated us at the beginning of Zero, but
Yes.
especially by the end of this game, I'm like, Grace, 10 to 10. We
Agreed.
love Grace in this house. Now, I'm sure someone in the comments below is going to be like, well, actually, you ranked her this on the character tier list, so... but I don't remember what we ranked her at, and I'm really happy with her right now. So she is A rank.
Let's go. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if she ended up there on the tier list. If not, she's like high B, probably.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah,
Yeah.
There's no way we put her lower than high B.
Yeah, right. No way.
There's no way, Eric
There's no-
says, even though the proof is on the internet, but I'm not going to look it
I'm
up.
so scared.
Yep. So we do that, and we're flying around, and we're like, okay, what if we go to Belgard Gate to talk to who was it?
Bales.
Yeah, we're like, we'll go talk to Bales and see if we can figure out some way of getting the Crossbell Defense Force on our side.
Yep.
And we take the train tracks that we investigated earlier, and we go under the base. And I actually really like this section because it's like kind of cool.
Yeah, right. Like what a smart use of I guess an area that you really only would have gone to one time otherwise, right? Like
yeah, and it's something that's been there the whole time too.
Exactly.
It's like, like it's something I love about Crossbell in like the entire like Crossbell city state.
Yeah.
Is the whole space is super realized. Like
exactly.
It makes most of it makes sense.
Yep.
And when they get to, and when there's a new area introduced, it's somewhere like you've seen it, but like you weren't going there, or it's not like you couldn't have gone. It's just that you had no reason to go.
Exactly.
And so, like,
Yeah.
underneath Belgard Gate, the train tracks, like, who the hell's walking on train tracks? You know,
Exactly.
I'm not a
And
teenager anymore. I'm not gonna walk on train tracks.
yo, oh my gosh, yo, shout out to that. What I
Right?
really liked about it too is I believe it got pointed out by somebody that like, oh, hey, maybe we shouldn't walk on the tracks because, trains run through here. And then another character brings up, oh, well, like the city's basically under lockdown anyway. Nobody's traveling in or out. Like this is the time to
Yeah.
like, yeah, I loved that. Like it's such a small thing, but I loved it. I loved it.
Mm-hmm. And then we get ambushed in the basement by who else but Noelle.
Yup.
And like, this is something I really like about Lloyd is he pulls. All right, so Reen Schwarzer pulls a pretty good anime motivational speech,
Yep.
but Lloyd Bannings does the same thing but accidentally fills it with tons of innuendo for no reason.
Right.
And like he has like he starts talking to Noelle. It's like you would have had backup. You don't believe in this. Like the Noelle I know isn't this weak. And it's
Yeah.
like, damn, that line. And
Too
you
good.
get to 1v1 her, and I actually really like this section. And then Commander Bales is like, oh, you found out I was down here. And she's like, the whole base knows you're down here. You're loud as hell. You've been shooting guns.
Yeah.
Get into my office.
Too good.
And then she's like, oh man, I just I have to remove you from service, and you're getting a punishment duty to go over to the SSS.
Yeah, right. Like, Bales is so cool.
I have this piece of paper here. It tells me, oh man, I have to go deal with stuff and move Ellie and Speaker McDowell, and they're over in Michelin, and man, I have to deal with this at some point. It would be a shame if they happened to not be there by the time I was.
Yep.
I love
Good.
her so much.
She is the best. Oh.
And so we're like, oh, what if we just go to Michelin? And then we go and we raid and we land on the beach and we go and like we have to beat up a billion Jaegers.
Yeah, Jaegers on Jaegers.
Yeah, and Zeit's like huge.
Yeah,
And
he serves as a good distraction, and
I felt so bad because after every fight, I went over to the hotel and I took a nap.
oh my gosh, I did this. I did similar.
I was like, oh man, I'm just gonna go fill up my craft points real quick. Just I gotta go take a nap, man. Just give me a minute. I'm taking a nap. Zeit's like fighting for like 12 hours. It's like, oh my god, what's taking him so long?
You're right.
They keep taking naps.
Ridiculous.
I did that
honestly.
I did that in the prison too. Every time I did a fight, I'm like, I'm gonna go take a nap.
Oh no way.
Yeah.
Oh, that is too.
Because you didn't
funny.
have any healing items.
Yeah, true.
And I'm like, they don't have any healing spells either. So I'm like,
True.
all right, well, I'm just gonna go take a nap after every fight.
I think
guess.
I wound up just like powering through like a fool.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, you were just going for it, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I could have done that,
Yeah.
but I became way too paranoid.
No, that's fair.
So we did all that, and we fight a big robot.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And that was a cool fight. I actually really liked that fight.
Mm-hmm. It was good.
I got anti-punished, which felt really good because I missed a scan on one of his ads, and then he summoned more. And I'm like, yes,
Nice.
yes, got it. And then the robot like freaks out, and then Ellie, she shoots her gun because no one was watching her.
Right. Oh my gosh.
Like that whole mansion was staffed by like 2 dudes and a robot.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I feel like, and Ellie had her gun. Like, who did this?
Right. I mean,
That's
same with the because I think like Tio was brought to the hospital, right? Like how you left her with her staff? Like what's up with that?
I think yeah, I think that in Tio's case, I think she was like kind of hiding at the hospital,
Mm,
but because the you know the LaCroix or whatever like just didn't really think about because like the villains at this point and the Crossbow Defense Force at this point aren't really like focused on the hospital because
yeah,
you're hearing all the time it's like we're not getting people, we're not getting supplies, like nothing's happening, like we're
true.
just kind of on our own like the
Yeah,
whole time, because the only people who were quote unquote important to the Dieter administration, if you want to call it that way, was Shizuku, and
yeah,
she's in Orcus Tower right now. Like they don't, the hospital was like a tertiary concept to them.
yeah. That's true.
Um, but yeah, we get Ellie, we get her granddad. Yona's there.
Yep, that was so random. I was like, huh?
Like, all right, well, I guess he's here. All right, that's convenient. Very neat. But yeah, we got the gang back together, and it's great. It's amazing. I feel like I've forgotten to talk about someone. Oh, we had
Uh,
Wazzy. Never mind. No, we're good.
mm,
Wazzy was there the whole time. Oh, he
yeah.
has like hypnotism powers. That's how we
Wait,
got into the that's how we got into the place at the beginning. I
wait,
forgot. Like,
what?
so at the very beginning, I meant to talk about this. Like, he like gets us into the hospital without us having to fight the guards.
Oh yeah. Oh
Having
my gosh.
yeah, I was like, oh,
Yeah,
I
that's
forgot about that
right.
entirely.
There were Jaegers there. And
Yeah.
he's just like, yep, just go back home and you didn't see us when you get back
Go
home.
home and be a family man. And they're like,
Yeah.
I do want to be a family man. Let's go be
Yep.
family men. And then they
Wow,
leave.
yeah. That's true. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
I completely forgot about that. That's the
Same.
thing that's weird about the Grail Sitter. And I'll be 100% like the Trails to Azure has made me so weirdly over suspicious of the church for no
Hmm.
reason. And so anytime anything even remotely weird happens within the vicinity of a church in Cold Steel, I'm like, I wonder what's going
Interesting.
on there.
You're right.
And it's never the case.
Yet, or so you
Yeah.
think.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just constantly like, Yeah, so we get Speaker McDowell, and he's like, I'm gonna declare this to be an invalid presidency, or however it is he talks, and then we like hijack the internet to put his face on all the TVs that they have just left up
Yeah.
everywhere in Crossbell. They just okay. To be fair, if you had a bunch of trucks with like 100-inch plasma screen TVs,
Hmm.
and you had a barrier to keep the weather out,
Yeah.
wouldn't you keep them up? Put your propaganda on the town square whenever you want
Probably.
it.
Yeah.
Like you're out there doing a minor fascism. Why not?
Yeah.
And so he he hijacks the TVs with Yona and Tio's help, and he's like, I think that Dieter LaCroix sucks, and this sucks, and we're gonna go back to not having a president, or however it is he talks.
Yeah.
And then Dieter LaCroix is like, you gotta turn off the televisions, or however it is he talks.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
And
Yep.
and then no one can figure out how to do it because apparently technology doesn't have a power button.
Yeah. What's up with?
That's like the one thing I was like, hold on, is there not like a on-off switch?
You're right. No,
Like,
apparently
did
not.
they hijack the on-off switch? Like, I feel like if you can hijack a on-off switch remotely, that's a structural design flaw.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, is there not a power but like a plug?
Maybe the like Jaegers or whoever was stationed around town, they're just like they're just inept at using technology. They
Well,
just can't.
it was the Crossbow Defense Force at
Oh
each
well,
truck.
even
Yeah,
better that they can't, right? To show off how
right.
incompetent the military is.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But that kind of wraps up our part one of the
Yeah,
finale, which is this finale has what, three parts? Just
three.
absolutely, yeah. It's
Yeah,
like three arcs
yeah,
basically. Which again, these would have been perfectly fine as like their own chapters.
right.
Like the
No, all
finale
part
is
of the
basically
finale.
three whole chapters. It's wild how much
Yeah.
content's in it.
It doesn't make any sense. I kept forgetting. Like I was in the finale every time I
Right.
got through one of these segments. I was like, oh wait, what? Like the credits aren't rolling yet, and then the next segment was starting to be like,
The
oh okay, it
game
makes sense, of
the
course.
game just keeps going.
Yeah, yeah. It's like the
Um
longest exhale ever.
it really is. But so yeah. So yeah, we get everyone together and we're like, all right, how do we get over the barrier and into Crossbell City? And then they're like, all right, so there's some residence going on in the Moon Temple and the Stargazer's Tower and a third location.
Um,
Was there? No, I think it was just those two. Oh, the third one was inside of Crossbell itself.
yes,
Yeah, they had the
yes.
they had the big bells because at some point they took the bell that they stole. Like, Sigmund took the bell that they stole and put over at the Sun Fort and brought it back into
Yeah, like
Crossbell.
come on, man. But thanks for doing some of our job for us, I guess.
Yeah, I was like, all right, so that's there. So we're like, all right, we have to knock out two of the resonance points and make the bells stop resonating in
Yeah,
the cross
yeah.
bells. The bells in the cross are the cross bells. That's how the cross bell works. When you remember when you saw that scene for the first time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you saw like the big X of, like the big X of energy flowing through like the entire city state. And then it's like, oh, it's the cross bells.
Yeah.
That was a whole moment.
Yeah, that was just like wow, like ah,
Yeah.
everything clicked. Like as if there was any more to click at that point. Still clicking.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's the thing that I love about this finale. It's just so much stuff just clicks into place
Yep.
constantly. It's like, oh my god, I love it. Moon Temple. We started there. I actually, did we have a choice?
No, I do not believe
No.
so.
Okay.
I think the dialogue maybe plays it out like you have a choice, but then they're like, no, let's go to the Moon Temple first.
Yeah, that's fair. So we go over to the Moon Temple. There's some illusions going on, and we
Of
see
course.
Camp up at the top, and he's like, "Oh, did you like my puzzle? I had some orbs," and we're like, "No, we did not like your puzzle. We are going to
Yep.
punch you now." He's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I am going to fight you, but I'm not really a fighter." And then like we beat him up, and he beats us up because he's got cool
Of course.
illusion magic.
Of course.
And then we finish the fight. It's like, haha, in fact, I'm just gonna leave.
Yep. He's like, yeah, you know what? My job here is actually done
He's like,
anyways.
he's like, I just felt like having a puzzle and just, casting some spells at you. How often do I cast spells?
What a fool he is.
I see what you did there.
Hmm.
And so yeah, like he wanders off, I guess over to Erebonia, which is concerning in its own fun, fascinating way.
Yeah, I don't want to deal with him in 3D, please.
Oh my god, 3D camp is a problem. It's like 3D Blue Blanc. 3D Blue Blanc is just the worst.
Yeah, like come on now.
Oh,
No.
I was like, please, I don't have the spoons to deal with Blue Blanc, and now he can put things wherever he wants. See, this
Yeah,
is how Blue Blanc wins in 3D. He just puts something on a high shelf.
pretty much.
No gamer looks up.
Nope.
All right? This is a fact. This is just how it works. So if you put something above eye line, in a 3D game. It's invisible.
Yep.
Just straight up.
Oh,
So
it's so ridiculous.
yeah, so we head over to Stargazer's Tower, and I love Stargazer's Tower. I
It's so
love
good.
running through this section because we get to fight the three knights. It's the Stall Ritter.
I think so. I think Stall Ritter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stall Ritter sounds right.
It's either that. It's either Stall Ritter or Stall something else. And Stall Ritter would be the one from Bleach, but I don't know.
Oh gosh, hold on. Nope,
One
it
of
isn't
these
Stall Ritter.
two-
We're good. We're good.
Okay. We're good.
Yeah.
We fight those three ladies, and only one of them has a profile picture
Nah,
because it's Duvali, and she's the best. I didn't get it at first. All right, I didn't understand,
Oh,
but now I get it.
say no more.
Dude,
I got to boot up Cold Steel too.
Dude, win. All right, give me a date.
Oh,
Give me a date.
gosh.
All right, I want a date and time.
Oh my gosh! All right, I'm pulling up the calendar.
All right.
I'm gonna shoot for the 24th.
24th, you heard it here first. Everyone, Felix win Cold Steel 2,
Yep.
24th of July,
24th.
2023. Pew 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 pew. Big
It's time.
announcement. Big reveal. Dude, I can't wait. You're going to have so much fun.
I'm so excited,
It's
honestly.
it's such a fun game. So we fight those three, and then we go fight, and I put fight in very large quotation marks, Aryanarod. And oh Nelly, that is an experience.
That fight is so... It's great, first of all. It's so rude.
It's an amazing fight. It's probably like one of my favorites in the whole game.
Yeah, easily.
But wow, that's stressful. And I felt so good because like I quote unquote won that fight.
Yeah.
And like you break off her mask or whatever, if you get her HP all the way down. And then she's like, lol, I have another hit bar. And it's like the most HP. It's like the second highest HP, I think, of any boss of the game.
Gosh.
And once that mask comes off, things get real in that fight. I think she like wiped you at that point, if I remember correctly.
She did, yeah. So yeah. I have no idea how the rest of the fight would have gone, but
so it's basically because like you crack off the mask, she immediately S-crafts.
Mm-hmm.
Like she skips turn order. She doesn't care.
Yeah.
I survived that purely off of luck that I had Tio's Zero Field already up.
Gosh. I'm so bad.
Dude, it was the worst. It was that but yeah, no, she like fires that off constantly. Fortunately, I had Felix dodged, or no, you're Felix. I had Lloyd. I'm looking.
Hi.
Yeah, well, you changed your name in Discord to Felix Bannings, and it's confused me quite a bit, I'd like to point out.
I love that.
I had Lloyd on dodge tank duty, and he was getting hit still. That's the scariest thing in that whole game. Like, she can hit at 100% evade.
Gosh.
Because she has like some sort of accuracy buff.
Right. No way.
And she's the rudest. And so she's like, all right, well, you guys are fun. I must leave. My planet needs me.
Pretty much.
And if you win, quote unquote, I put quote unquote in big quotation marks because that fight ends no matter how you do it with her just like S-crafting y'all into oblivion.
Yep.
If you win, Ellie's like, because Ellie was like on the way up, she's like, there's no way. It's so weird. She's like, are you like the Lance Maiden? And she's like, ho, 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 and teleports away. So like,
for some reason, I just imagine like the tuxedo mask like disappearing meme when you said that.
My God, you haven't done anything. I must go. My job here is done. And oh yeah, it's great because she's like basically implying that she is the Lance Maiden from like the Lions War, the War of the Lions or whatever.
Yep. Yeah.
And which makes her several hundred years old.
No, yep. Explains the blue text right away.
Yeah, it does. It does. So we hugged the bell. Oh, we hugged the other bell because turning the bells off involves group hug, by the way.
Yeah.
Which I love that's how we solved it in the last game, and we just haven't come up with a better solution.
Yeah, right. And I remember way earlier in the game, Reese actually I think makes a comment about that. Like she was basically like, why would you do that? That's not right at all.
It's like that's extremely dangerous and not how you're supposed to do it. They're like, it works.
Yeah, right.
Lloyd sitting there, teeth rattling. Yeah, it works. And so we did it. The barrier came down, but the blue mist arrives. And so like Crossbell gets locked down, like super locked down, because I guess they put a bunch of blue mist all over the place, which summons monster things.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
not quite cryptids, but yeah, like other ethereal beings.
Yeah, like the kind of monsters we were seeing in like the temples and Stargazer's Tower,
right?
That were like higher element aligned and stuff, which I think was actually kind of cool. Mm-hmm. And it was interesting too because like it makes sense that those are the kind of monsters that Dieter was summoning because like they're the family that like built these things.
Yeah.
So it makes perfect sense that that's what's going on. But yeah, we meet up with Dudley and Sergey and a bunch of scientists and stuff, and we're like, all right, we're gonna raid Orcus Tower, and we're gonna beat everyone up, and it's final dungeon time, baby.
Yeah, and then did you also? I think at this point, this is when you go to like the Bracer Guild as well, right?
Yeah, you go to the Bracer Guild and you talk. You hear about how Arios like quit the day before or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple other things, I think.
Yeah, you like piece together basically that he's been in on the plan or whatever for the last like 5 or so years. Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, all right, he's been involved for a lot longer than we think it has been. He has.
Yeah. Been. Yeah.
And wild. Lecter and Killica chatted us for a little bit in a train. Which makes sense. And they're like, we'll help out. Whatever. We're not busy. Lecter's like, look, I know Osborne's like dead or whatever, but like, I don't know, man. I got some time before I got to go back and deal with whatever nonsense he's got going on. And so we do it. We go raid Orcus Tower. And it's awesome.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Because, like, we get to see Lecter combat. Which I think that's the first time we've seen him fight anything.
Yes.
And, like, yeah, it's in a cutscene, but, like we didn't even know how he fought things. Like, he had, like, a rapier or something, it looked like.
Yep.
And very cool. And so, yeah, we burst through with our car, and Noelle's like, no, my car. And we find out that Orcus Tower has like a whole third of it, which is just a bunch of evil looking machinery.
Yeah, like, come on now. Like nobody was questioning it while it was being built.
Right. That's something like so one of the minor NPCs that you can talk to over the course of like the game is actually he was the architect who designed the outer shell of Orcus Tower.
Oh.
And it's really interesting because you can go talk to him at this point. He's like, I can't believe that the tower is like the one that's like, because like the field, like the big barrier was like being generated, I think, by the tower.
Yeah.
So to speak. And it's just really fascinating to me where he's like, oh, he's so proud of it. And then all of a sudden, you know, the bad stuff happens. And then it gets worse, and then once we're able to catch up with him, he's like, what have I done?
Right.
And once he finds out that
Wow.
like the stuff that's inside it later, he's like, oh, I can't believe that that's what they put in my big tower.
You're right.
Mhm.
Wow. That's cool.
Oh yeah, it's the thing that's crazy about this game is all of the NPCs you can talk to are constantly like updating, and you're learning more things about them as the game goes on.
Mm-hmm.
Like the maid in that apartment complex, because that's the apartment complex Ilya lives in. She had no
Yeah.
idea Ilya lived there
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
years, and she only finds out after Ilya is sent to the hospital, and Sully,
Mm-hmm.
Sully, comes and gets her stuff,
Oh.
and
Oh,
like,
wow.
yeah, and she had no idea. She's like, I didn't know Ilya was right here the whole time. I was, because like she had tickets for one of their shows at one point,
Yeah.
and she was so excited. She's like, I love Arkansas. It's and
Oh
then
my God.
and then there's like one of the juice stalls sells like tomato
Yeah.
juice, and it's because like Ellie's granddad just really loves it, and she's like been slowly tweaking the recipe to make it so he enjoys it more
Yeah.
specifically. And
Yeah.
then she's like, it's not on the regular menu, but like then later she adds it to the menu
Mm-hmm.
because other people are like, oh, what the hell are you making? She's like, yeah, someone saw me making it and then just asked for it, and it's apparently people are liking it as a health drink.
Yeah.
um and just like all these little mini stories, and I think we've talked about this many a time,
Yes.
that like the Trails series is so good about NPC mini stories, and it's amazing, and I love it.
Too good.
Where
Oh,
were
that's
we?
amazing.
Machines.
Yes, machines.
um
Yeah, it's like 30 floors or something, right? 20 to 30 floors of just machinery and
yeah.
climbing. This is also where we found the new and optional piece of equipment for Tio.
Oh yeah, the orbital gear.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a flying orbital gear thing from Zeiss Central Factory.
Gosh.
And yeah, it becomes Tio's S craft. And I didn't set her S brake to it because zero field,
Of course.
but I did use it a couple times, and I gotta say it does hit like a truck.
Yeah, it's good.
It's also got a hell of a good animation.
Yeah, too good.
I think also at this point Lloyd unlocked his last S craft,
Shortly after.
Meteor Impact or whatever.
Yeah, it's shortly after when you get to the hostages.
Oh yeah. And it's just absolutely insane.
Hmm.
So yeah, so we get up finally to the floor where the Zemurian Trade Conference went, which I still can't believe that was in the same game.
Yo, right. Like it feels
Like,
so far away by that point of the game.
yeah, because like the Zemurian Trade Conference happens, I think, what, chapter 2?
Yeah.
I could look. We have notes.
Yep.
I could just, oh god, we have to scroll very far up.
Yeah, it should be chapter 2.
Yeah, it's chapter 2, and chapter 2 is like 100 hours ago.
Yeah.
Like in
Yeah.
real game time.
Gosh. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and so like you're up there, and there's a bunch of hostages, and there's like no one guarding them anymore, which was,
Mm-mm.
like kind of weird, but whatever.
Yeah, just a bit.
Yeah, like they know that they're locked there. We see Shizuku, and Shizuku gives Lloyd something from Arios, which is Guy's tonfas.
And what comically like huge tonfas they are.
They are massive tonfas. Just stupidly big. And I
Yeah.
felt really bad because I never used them.
Really? I guess you had like better equipment at the time?
I had evade equipment. I had a weapon with
Oh.
evade proc on it, and I couldn't swap.
Oh my gosh.
And then when I did eventually have enough evade, Lloyd had a better weapon in the final, in a chest later. I'm like, oh well, Oh, well.
Yeah.
Oops.
Oh my gosh. That's funny.
I wonder, actually, because you get a bunch of weapons in the last dungeon,
Mm-hmm.
and I wonder if you can customize those.
Oh, good
Because those are like their
question.
quote unquote ultimate weapons.
Yeah.
But I wonder if you could take them to the customizer. Because, like, the shop's open. You can go to there.
Yeah, I would I would
I
imagine so.
Maybe. I don't know. That's a good question. Well, okay, actually, no, because I don't think you can, because the ultimate, quote unquote, ultimate weapons are the Zemurian ore ones,
Oh,
which
right.
are just
Okay.
another big pain in the butt to get. We'll get to that in a
I
minute.
gosh, I never bother with those. Yeah,
I did because I hate myself.
of course.
Um so there's like no one else in the building other than the hostages. So we were like, all right, well, we're gonna go up to the roof because I guess that's where everyone is. And it's just Dieter. And he's got a big robot, and he's like, I'm gonna fight you in this robot, and it sucks.
Yeah,
That's
the fight.
that fight
Mm-mm.
was rude because
Yeah.
he had that one thing that like it was, I think, our first instance of an enemy having a skill that can immediately remove buffs,
Yes.
including the zero field guards.
Yes. Yes. I
And
was very mad. I was like, wait, he still hit me through that? And then I real like because I was thinking, oh, I have zero field up, I'm safe, of course.
uh-huh.
And then when I actually saw somebody take damage, and it was a considerable bit of damage too, I was like, wait. How?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That fight took me a hot minute.
Oh.
And I'm like, all right, whatever. We're on the final boss. I'll just start popping Zerums. And
Hmm.
then we beat him up, and he's like, all right, I'm gonna go again, round two, baby.
Right.
And then the tower shuts down, and he's like, nani? And the game's like, hey, I know you thought this was the final dungeon and the final boss, but I got a thing for you. And then we get a villain Skype call, and Maribel's like, oh, father, you fool. You were very useful, but now my evil plan has come to fruition. And it's not my evil plan, it's... And then she looks over, and in on stage left comes frickin' Ian Grimwood.
Yeah, that I'm mad that still caught me off guard because I remember talking to his little assistant guy
Uh,
and like before storming the tower, and he was just like, yeah, I don't know what happened to Mr. Grimwood. Like he went to the tower and just disappeared. So of course
yeah.
I the assumption could easily be made that he's being held hostage or something like that with everybody else. And then
Mm-hmm.
you see everybody else, and unless you're like really paying attention and keeping track of all the information you're being fed at this point, it's I feel like it's so easy to realize he's not there, but I just didn't notice it.
Oh, it gets worse. It actually gets worse. So if you
Hmm.
do all of Nielsen's side quests through the
Yeah.
whole game, there's like this 4 quest chain
Yeah.
to do. And then you talk to his assistant, and then you do another thing, and then you go to his office and you
Oh
get
my
to
gosh.
see he had like an adoption papers set up and
Oh.
everything. He's like, he gave him like a, hey, you're probably never gonna see me again, and I'm gonna make sure you're set up properly and have a nice home.
Oh, wow.
And like the whole thing with the Nielsen side quests is basically trying to figure out what the hell happened with Guy. And then at
Yeah.
the end of that set of side quests, he's like, it had to be someone Guy trusted, it had to be someone that he wouldn't have expected, and it had to be someone who knew him really well. And there's like and even Lloyd's like, there's like 3 dudes
Yeah.
total.
Yeah.
And like at that point I had all the pieces of information, and I'm like, okay, so there's like Dieter, which is the obvious answer,
Of course.
Grimwood, which was brought up, and I'm like, but I'm like, there's no way it's Grimwood. But then during the scene right before the Skype call, like he shows up in the Skype call, if you've done all that, Lloyd's like, Lloyd like flashes back and has like Dieter, like something Dieter, or not Dieter, but Grimwood says pop
Yeah.
up in his head. I'm like, no.
No way.
Yeah, and so Lloyd can like have it all figured out, and it's obviously detective points.
Of course, yeah.
And it's like, and I'm like, there's no way. I had all the pieces in front of me, and even then I was caught off guard.
My gosh. That's
And
so unreal.
yeah, and it's like, but yeah, the whole point of the call is like, haha, we're gonna make not just the Septarion of Zero, but the Septarion of Azure, and then like a big tree happens, and then it's just absolutely like a big tree just appears out of somewhere near Michelin Wonderland.
Yeah. Yeah. Ugh.
And we're all like, huh? And then Dieter LaCroix gets arrested because he can't use his big robot anymore, and he turns out he's just some guy.
Yep, literally uses a tool. Unbelievable.
And that gets us into the actual factual final dungeon.
Yeah, which in and of itself has so much like just subplot after subplot. Like, oh my gosh.
I gotta say, this is it's definitely one of the longer dungeons, I think, in the franchise.
Yeah.
The only like final dungeon I think I've ever played, which was longer than this one, was in Tales of Symphonia.
Oh, wow.
And that one's crazy long. That thing's like it's probably equivalent. Like Tales of Symphonia is such a good game though. I love that game so much.
I'm mad I never completed it.
Dude, I gotta say that one of the things that game does really well, especially in its last dungeon, is it starts out with a fairly normal theme, and as you go through each of the 4 layers, the music adds layers to the music until you get to the boss, and then the boss turns that music into a boss theme.
Right. Oh, that's
and
cool.
It's cool. It's legit one of the coolest things. I love it
to
death.
That's really masterful. When I am inevitably replay through that game to like actually beat it, I'm going to be keeping an ear out for that. That's amazing.
Oh yeah, I love that game, and it's got a Lloyd, but that Lloyd's like a 3-head. Like
true.
It's like Demon Fang. I'm a genius. Double Demon Fang. Wow. I love a new move. It's like, oh my god, Lloyd, never change.
What a guy.
Love that guy to death. Hold on. One of the stupidest things in that whole like game is this little scene about halfway through. Oh no, we're gonna have a mini Tales of Symphonia aside because I love this game so much.
Yeah.
It's this little scene between Lloyd and Colette when Lloyd's kind of like suspecting that like the transformation or whatever that she's going through as being the chosen one is like affecting her negatively. Yeah. And he hands her a drink. He's like, be careful. It's really, really hot. And she's like, oh, I'm being careful. Ow, my fingies. And he's like, I'm just joking. It's cold. She's like, oh, brr. And then he's like, no,
I remember
it's hot.
that.
And and it's like the dumbest interaction, but it's so cute because both of them are just so stupid.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I remember all of that
so much. Oh my god. Anyway, so we could go into the big tree. There's like a bunch of side quests that pop up.
Yes.
At this point. Cuz why wouldn't there be?
Like can you believe that, listener? You are literally in the final act of the final act, all right, on some like Attack on Titan anime nonsense, and there are still side quests.
Final season, part 4, section 2.
Yeah, like
the movie.
What? Come on now.
Attack on Titan final season's been airing for approximately 4 years. I just can't. I can't.
Oh, I'm so over it.
It's not. Is it even good?
I wish I could tell you.
I wish I could tell you too. I don't know.
Yeah.
I only watched the first like season of Attack on Titan, and then it took like 18,000 years for the season 2 to pop up.
Right.
So I just watched like half of the first episode. I'm like, I don't care about Attack on Titan anymore, y'all.
Yep. I'm a similar boat here. I was patient
Now,
enough for the second season, watch that, and I was like, nope,
mhm. Yeah,
can't do that weight again.
there was like a big fuzzy talking Titan. I'm like, I was pretty sure they were supposed to be naked and not fuzzy, but
You're right.
whatever. And then I'm like, all right, I like the commercial break hit. I'm like, I'm out.
Yep. See you
I'm
later.
good. Now, listener,
Yes.
I know you're sitting here thinking, man, I really want them to talk about this, the final dungeon. This is how playing an RPG and be given a bunch of side quests before going into that dungeon feels like.
Oh yeah. Honestly, true.
So we go there and it's like, oh, and we have like a sky battle with like a named Jaeger who I forgot existed. They
Oh
like put up a bunch of mines and it's like, oh, he's a really good pilot or something.
yeah.
And then he's like, you ain't Falco, and or however it is he talks. I don't know. I don't think I used that meme correctly, but whatever.
We'll let it slide.
Yeah, we'll let it just this once, please. I beg of you. And even the Jaeger's like, all right, well, they did it. They got through the crazy field of mines. I'm clocking out.
Yep.
I hope I'm getting paid for this because I'm hungry. And we get in and it's like this whole crazy world inside the tree. It's wild.
Yeah.
I love the aesthetic.
Yep.
I love the music.
Oh yeah.
Like I don't like the monsters, but
Agreed.
But like, man, it's just it feels final. It looks good. I love I cannot praise this dungeon enough. And I love the fact that it loops back on itself.
Yeah, right.
Lot. Like we're slowly building shortcuts back to the battle bus so we can, charge up because we have to fight through a bunch of domains where we have to fight the minor major antagonists through the whole thing.
Yeah. Hey,
and they
man.
have their own little sub areas.
Yeah, I heard you like dungeons, so we put a dungeon in your dungeon so you could dungeon while you dungeon.
It's true. Let's start with Shirley's because I think it was actually probably the most aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah. It was what a theme, right? Like you get in there and it's just like tranquil almost. It's like, oh wow, look at that. It's very pretty.
I think it's supposed to show that Shirley is like she's like a very pure person. Like she's insane and violent, but like that's her whole thing. Like she doesn't have like other aspects to her. It's like the violence is the calm.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, what you see is what you get.
I did like the boss fight though with her.
It was good.
It was a good fight. Afterwards, so like we beat her, and then she's like, Rishi, oh yeah, you have to like bring one specific party member for each of the domains. And Rishia was the one for Shirley. Because of the whole thing at Arkansas. And she's like, Rishia, we're gonna have a fight to the death. She's like, oh, there will be no death here today. Ha ha.
Yeah, Shirley's like, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, and so they have their fight, and Shirley's like, oh, that was a fun fight. Pah. Actually, you can check if you check on her after the fight, you can do like some basic first aid apparently on her.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
And then like you leave and then she's like, I could have shot them at any point after that. I'm really losing my she like passes out again. And then the other one in this first section is Walled, and I'm gonna be 100%. Walled's boss fight was probably the hardest of the domains.
Yeah, it was easily.
Mostly because his ads sucked.
Yeah,
his ads were rude as hell. I hated them. Like everything about the fight was rude, but like, man, that combination was that I struggled the most there.
Oh yeah,
but it's at this point as well where Wald's like, they're like, he's like, I've been eating the blue gnosis and it's been making me strong. And Lloyd's like, hold up. I thought the red gnosis turned you into a demon. And he's like, well, I'm very compatible according to the crazy angry blonde lady in a villain dress. And then he's like, and everyone's like, you want to elaborate on that? And he's like, no.
Right. He's just like,
Because
I
he's
don't know,
like,
man.
he doesn't care.
Yeah.
And it's never explained.
Never. Oh.
He's just like, I'm compatible. It's like, huh? Okay. And so, and his was like all like I think it was what, the fiery explode, like lava area.
Yeah.
No. Lava was the next one. His was like the electric, like lightning.
Oh yeah, like
wasteland.
at those fields. Yeah. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
It's been a hot minute, y'all. It's been a minute. All right, we took way too long recording this.
Yeah, and the game itself is just massive on top of that. So
Yeah.
excuse us if we're missing certain details, but yeah, right now I think we're pretty much going off of our notes and memory.
Yeah. And then so we have those two. We get some more dungeon, and we're going through some more stuff. And then we have another domain, and it's Sigmund, and this one's like all like
real quick.
Go ahead.
Real quick before, like, so did you like accidentally run into one of those like lions that sit on the top of those slopes?
Yeah.
Like so rude.
It's like the camera like does not let you see them ahead of time, and I'm just like bonk. I'm like, and then dude, those things were rude as hell. And one of them spawns in with a whole bunch of those like dudes who like one hit shot you.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I am 100% positive. I immediately like broke for those.
Oh dude, those scared the hell out of me.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like, oh man, because I got hyper punished too. Because I'm like, all right, Lloyd's at 100% dodge. What are these things gonna do to him? And then they immediately kill and vanish the corpse, and I'm like, oh no. So that was very rude of him. So yeah. So like Sigmund, I kind of cheesed this fight. Because his ads were super easy to deal with.
That they were,
and then like he was just quote unquote beating up Lloyd, and Lloyd's just sitting there dodging everything. He's like, and
wow,
and he telegraphs his S-crafts, so it's like it was like the most free fight out of all of the domains.
Yeah, overall, I definitely also had I think the easiest time with this. He did come close to beating me once, if I'm recalling right. But
I feel like that's correct, because I remember watching that, and he got you into a pretty rough spot, but I think you pulled through.
Yeah, managed to bounce back. Gosh,
yeah,
evil.
And and it's funny too, because he's like, Randy, I'm gonna make you the war god, like the whole game, and then suddenly at the end he's like, I'm gonna kill you, and then I'm gonna be the war god. And Randy's like, dude, you can just be the war god. No one here cares.
Right.
Like this whole thing could have just stopped.
Yep.
We're done. All right. Like we could go home. And then we beat him up, and he's like, war god. However as he talks and passes out. And
he really gets treated like a sub-villain by that point.
Like, dude, he really is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just love the fact that Wald got to be so involved.
Like
I just love the fact that he like just started kind of tagging around,
right?
And and he's like, I'm a main villain, yeah. And like then he was one of the harder fights, and then.
Yeah,
and then Sigmund's kind of like shelved at this point. It's just such a. I love this game. It's so fun. Talk to me about this last domain and how you were feeling going through it, because this one was so good.
Yeah. So the next domain belongs to Arios, and I gotta say it made me really, really freaking happy, because like, you know, you go in there and it's, well, one, in general, pretty dark, but the platforms that you're actually running along are all kind of like these, like, I was going to say like monochrome, kind of like looking things. Yeah. And there are like chains going across like them, on the railings or as railings and so on. And it looked very Kingdom Hearts. So if you enjoy the aesthetic, like if you enjoy Kingdom Hearts aesthetic, you are going to have a great time. Or if you've already played the game, you know, you probably had like a really, really good time here. I didn't mind the gimmick at all going into it. I thought that was cool. The monsters were fine. But then there was Arios himself. And Yeah, like the entire time he's just trying to play like he's kind of trying to just dodge like answering any questions directly. Well, I say, but he also answers a few of them directly.
Yeah. Well, he's there's one question I won't answer, but I'll answer anything else.
Yeah, and then Lloyd almost immediately after is like, "Did you kill my brother?" And he's like, "Can't answer that." Basically,
Yeah.
really, really silly. That fight was funny. I know you had a good time watching me go through that fight.
Oh yeah.
But how did the fight go for you?
I I was so happy because like Lloyd basically soloed that fight.
Yeah.
And it was and so like at this point in the game, like, you know, like right before the fight kicks off, the get over the barrier roaring version kicks in. And for me, this fight was very one-sided, and we
Hmm.
were just absolutely stomping Arios. And at that point, like it very much felt like Get Over the Barrier was the SSS's boss music.
Yeah.
Arios did not get boss music. We had boss music. And I
Yeah.
felt so on theme that like the SSS surpassed him in this moment. Like it
Hmm.
was, oh my god. It's one of
Yeah.
the it's you remember how earlier I'm like, yeah, it's like a top 5 moment. We're gonna fill out the other 4. This is one
Yeah.
of them. What's happening
Absolutely.
outside? Oh, there's just some dude revving his motorcycle for no reason.
They love that.
I thought there was thunder. I'm like, what is happening?
I was over here like, is somebody blasting music or something? Oh my
Nah.
gosh.
Look, we're just whatever. We're just gonna keep that in so people can know forever that one of my neighbors has a motorcycle and he's very happy about it.
Let's go.
Super excited. What
Now
about? Go ahead.
I had a more difficult time with this fight because similar to the fight with Crow, freaking Arios was out here just cutting through my zero fields and hitting me multiple times. I was like, come on, man. But there was one moment of the fight where I was backed into a corner and like it was like I had no interrupts. I couldn't push anybody's turn up ahead of Arios, and I knew, or I was feeling for certain, that he was going to S-craft me, and it was Risha's
Oh
turn.
my god! Yeah, I remember this.
And so I had Risha use her master art, which I forget which like quartz I had onto her, but basically I was able to turn the rest of the party invisible for a turn.
Yeah.
And so I did that, and immediately he S-crafted and just missed half of them. Risha survived with like basically 1 HP, and I was like,
yeah. You had the
"Oh my god!"
actual soul read on that guy. It was
Oh my god!
insane.
Yeah,
I
that
was
was
I was like, oh man.
that was I peaked at that moment, and it's only downhill from here. Um
Oh yeah. See, I had Lloyd like punching Arios into a corner. So like we had like half the party as far away from this as possible, casting
mhm.
spells. Lloyd in one corner, Arios just up against the wall, not able to do anything. And he's like, I'm gonna arcane gale, and then he can only hit Lloyd, but Lloyd dodged it.
That's amazing.
And he's just like, oh my god, it was such a fun fight. Um but yeah, so we beat up Arios and he's like, it was Grimwood or whatever.
Yeah, him going over the I guess the events that had happened back then
Hmm.
really made me sad. I was like,
Dude,
man,
right?
yeah.
Because like
And
we
this is
get
where
this.
Mhm.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say this is where we get to see like Guy like really shine, because you go for so long just kind of like hearing about his exploits, seeing photos. I think there's maybe like 2 total that you see.
Hmm.
And then, of course, like some flashbacks and stuff, right? But it's always the same images. You never really get to actually see Guy in any kind of like action, right? And so this is the moment that you're given all of that, and you're given the dialogue play by play exactly how it happened and everything. And then he's shot.
Oh my god, right?
It's like, what? Like, oh, like, come on. Like, how, who and why? Like, how would you do that? And just, um, That's where it
Mm-hmm.
really came together for me that it was, that it actually was Grimwood. At that point, I think I had it long figured out. I just, it's just the confirmation of it, right? And,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so to actually see it, to see the smoking gun in his hand and those glossed over glasses and
Oh my
everything, and like
god.
the look of like shock on Arios's face, like I think like maybe that was the second time I would say I felt any like really like strong emotions for Arios as a character, because otherwise like he himself is pretty stoic and just straightforward,
Yeah.
right? And so like you hear about his family and you're like, oh my gosh, like that's wild, and you feel touched during those moments you see with him and his daughter. But otherwise, I didn't really connect to him too much. I was just like, oh my god, like Arios, wow, like Divine Blade of Wind, wow, cool.
Yeah.
And then that happens, and it's like, whoa, wait a minute. Can we get like a reset on that, please? Like that'd be nice. And it's kind of funny I said that because of where things eventually lead to and what we
Oh
learn.
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah. The end of this game is just absolutely insane. And
Yeah.
so one thing also I want to point out about that scene is that guy's not even mad. He's like,
Yeah.
he's just like, oh, I knew it was you. All right,
Mhm.
well, peace.
Yeah.
So we go up the big elevator or whatever, and we hear. Wait, at what point do we hear her say "Find me"? Is it when we first get in, or is it on that elevator?
I almost want to say it's both, but I
Oh,
do
it might be
believe
both. Yeah.
if it's not both, it's for sure the elevator.
Yeah. And they see a bunch of scenes from around Crossbell, and they also see they flash back to the in media res prologue, and they flash back to a version of it where they died. And I have to go and re-watch or replay the first moments of Zero. Cause because we learn that was not an in media res prologue.
Yeah.
Like this was the moment. This was the moment where I had my I get it now. Like
Yeah.
and this was like, because up to this point everyone everyone I've talked to in the community was like, Azure is the greatest game. It's one of the best games ever made. It's easily a highlight of the franchise. It's so good. I'm like, this game up to this point is good. Like, I'm not gonna say it's not a good game up to this point.
Of course.
But I'm like, it's not a greatest of all time. It's like a top 10.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I don't like being the kind of guy who's like, all right, the ending of something can change. Like, you can, it can take a bad game and make it an amazing game.
Mm-hmm.
But like, it took a good game and made it into one of the best.
Yeah.
Like, and because basically we learned that like Kia had previously like changed the timeline, and like there was a version of the SSS that went to do the finale of Zero, and they didn't have Estelle and Josh, and they died.
Yeah. Like what?
And
Oh.
she's like, oh, I'm gonna make sure. And so Kia changes, so they had that chance encounter with the broken down bus.
Mm-hmm.
She like made the bus break down,
And then to set off the chain of events afterwards. Like what?
yeah, which is and that's like the power of the Septarion that they're like trying to make, the Septarion of Zero, you know, turn and Mirabelle, I don't remember the exact line, but she says like and she says like the from Zero to Azure.
Yep.
And then even then I'm like, oh my god, it's been there the whole time.
Right.
And it's I oh my god. And then Grimwood sits there, he's like, and we're gonna use this power for good. And it's like, well, what about other people? He's like, Grimwood's like, hey, did you ever think about how democracy is kind of cringe?
Yeah. Oh my god, that made me so mad.
I was
Couldn't
like,
believe it.
I was like, dude, are you for real right now?
Yeah, because like,
Am I about to get Am I about to have to listen to like some tech bro talk to me about a
right,
meritocracy?
right. Like, I just, I was so mad already, like going into that, right? Because obviously in everybody's heads, it's like, all right, we're gonna go beat up Maria Bell, we're gonna go beat up Grimwood, and we're gonna get our kid back. And then you go up there, and Lloyd's just like, hey man, did you ever like think about what you were doing? And Grimwood he just drops everything. Like, he's just like, whoa,
he's like,
holy smokes, man. I see the light. You're totally correct. Hey,
yeah.
Maria Bell, I'm done here. What?
Right. I'm like, and Lloyd's like, yo, have you looked to your left? You're hanging out with a supervillain. He's like, huh. Maybe I should have thought this through a little bit first. And Maria Bell, in full supervillain regalia, is like, you're fired. Stab, stab, stab.
Yeah, just sends a bunch of like giant like
Lances.
Magical stakes through. Yeah, like and I was like, all right, well, he's dead.
That was fun. Yeah. I just love the fact that like Grimwood's been like, you know, masterminding this thing, and like Maria Bell's like, yes, he made our plan come to a fruition. Our 1,000-year delusion is finally real. And then what did you think about her boss fight, by the by?
Oh, her boss fight was so rude. I love figuring it out though. I can appreciate I guess gimmicks like that in a JRPG with like that kind of battle system. It reminded me of my time with Live Alive or Live Alive, however you say it.
Yeah.
Because the final boss plays out kind of sort of similarly, where you have ads that make up certain mechanics. You defeat those, and then you get access to the boss proper. And it's it's neat. I actually really, really liked it. However, I was very, very like upset when I did try to like, you know, make the approach on her in the middle. And of course she just teleports you out, right? She's like, no, go back to the corner, you clown. So when that was first like hitting me, I was like, come on, like what? But I grew to appreciate it really, really quickly, to be honest.
I was like, wow, this fight is incredibly rude. She had like 16 ads on the screen at one point. And like she tried to summon more, and then she like only summoned one. I'm like, I'm at the maximum amount of crap I'm allowed to deal with. Good. I'm glad this is a thing I'm dealing with. Who was your party going into the end?
By that point, my main party had been comprised of Lloyd, Tio, Ellie, and Risha.
That's very close to what I had. I had Lloyd, Tio, Ellie, and Noelle.
Yeah.
And I think... Wait, did we talk about... We have to had the... We haven't! We didn't talk about the final Bond scenes.
Yeah, that's actually crazy, huh?
Oh my god. All right, we'll talk about that as soon as we're done about this boss fight. I loved her S-crafts. She had 2 of them.
Yep.
She summoned her stupid dolls to attack us, which was rude.
Yeah.
And she also but like I love how one of her S-crafts literally just takes you through like the haunted house in Michelin.
Yeah.
Which is wild. Just an absolutely wild
yeah, when I saw that I was like, oh, you know what I wished? I wished that they would have gone like all the way and just like added some like Ellie screams to that, because you know she's the one character who like did not like that ride at all.
Oh my god, right.
Yeah.
That was actually insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that fight was it was rude, it was gimmicky, but I think it was good. Like I think like as a prelude to the final fight, I think it was a good gimmick. It was hard, it was fun, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was great.
We have to talk about the final Bond scenes, otherwise we're gonna get eviscerated.
Oh yes.
I know you went with Rishia, which is why she was in your party, as opposed to me, who went with Noelle. Because Noelle was still my ride or die at that point. I love her so much. What did you think of Rishia's final Bond scene?
Rishia's was actually really, really nice. Because you then are finally given that full like, oh, okay, yo, so tell us about how you came to like be Yin. And she gets into a whole story about how her father was, not necessarily cold to her, but he wasn't exactly a father figure either, at least not in the traditional sense.
Yeah.
And he passed on telling her pretty much that she can be whatever Yin that she wanted to be. The choice is literally hers. She is Yin now. And he was definitely proud of her, and Lloyd gives Rishia that affirmation of that afterwards. But at the time, Rishia just sort of thought like, oh, she had to live like her father. She apparently didn't even like cry when he passed because she felt her emotional attachment to him then wasn't, it wasn't your typical father-daughter relationship. And so it was nice kind of like having her be like, oh wow, you know what? No, I see it now. Like he really, really did love me as a daughter. And then she finally cries and breaks that down. And it just really, really, really good. Like beautiful scene, music and everything. Like just beautiful.
I watched her final Bond scene, and I gotta say that hit me hard.
Yeah.
Like cause seeing Rishia, cause like she has not been she's not had a ton of strong emotions through the game. She had that anger, and that's one of the reasons that her anger at Shirley on the Raid and Crossbow stuck out so much in my head. It's like that's like the first outburst she's had, and like seeing her finally like being able to accept herself and accept those emotions was like really powerful. And Lloyd was like, you can do it. Yeah, like you have the choice. And like,
just good.
I love the fact as well that these final Bond scenes, it's not like, oh, we're the best friends forever. No, like they're dating now.
Yeah.
And that's great. And I really liked Noelle's because it's weird. Like it wasn't a whole lot of backstory, but Noelle and Lloyd basically like exchanged dog tags, and and Fran's teasing them the whole time, which is hilarious. Well, like Fran isn't there, but like you can talk to her afterwards, and she's like,
right.
And it's kind of amazing, and I love it. I know you don't like Noelle.
Yeah,
I know you don't, and that's fine. Like, I get it, but like, I don't know. She is like this perfect storm of character traits that I really, really like. I liked her story in the games.
Yeah,
like I even like I know this is me in full blown like cope mode or whatever, but like I even justified like her like betrayal like in my head.
Yeah, and
like,
that's fair.
Yeah, because like I saw it as more of her struggle, like less of a betrayal and more of her doing an active struggle against her like nature.
Yeah, right, exactly. And I actually would, despite my stance, I actually do fully agree and can see that point of view, right? Because honestly, I would argue more so against myself in a sense and be like, that is what that is, exactly as you said it.
Yeah, and like, and and like, but you're also super valid and being super pissed at her. Like there are characters like Mark. Let's take Mark for example, right? Machias. He is fine now. Right?
Yeah.
Like he's great. Like I think like at the end of Cold Steel 1, he's a perfectly cool dude. But I'm never not going to be mad at him.
Yeah, exactly. Right. It's one of those. Yeah.
Yeah, like I know, like I even say all the time, it's like, oh yeah, he's great. We love Mark in this house. And then I'll be like, shut up, Mark.
Right. Because when he talks, it's nothing but ignorance coming out of his mouth.
It's true. This man served us fish with a side of hot dogs.
Right.
Why? Anyway, I like the Bond scenes. I watched the other ones and they were fine. They were good. I'd recommend watching them once if you haven't.
I'll be sure to.
There's a YouTube video. I'll Google it later and ship it your way.
Let's go.
The one thing with Wazzy's is a lot of his backstory a lot of Wazi's backstory is duct taped into there, which
Yes.
a lot like Rishia's, which is a shame because not a lot of people will see it because not a lot of people probably romanced Wazi.
Right.
But it's nice that it is somewhere in the game. Uh, but yeah, so like Mirabelle, we beat her up. Now we have to get back on what we were talking about. Now that we've remembered the thing that we forgot.
Yeah.
So Mirabelle, we beat her up, and she's like, ho 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 ho. You didn't know that I made it so you had to love Kia. And then because like I guess Kia has a thing where like people instinctively love and protect her.
Yeah.
Because she's like a homunculus or whatever. And like she's like, oh, you don't know Kia's secret. And Lloyd's like, yeah, she's like a homunculus or whatever. All right, give me my daughter back. I will murder you. And then she drops that, and Kia's like, no, and turns into the god that becomes the final boss, the Azure Arbitrator. And all right, I'm ready for my hot take that gets me yelled at by the community, but
what?
All right, this boss fight music is fine.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Everyone was hyping up this music, and they're like, oh, dude, it's so good. I'm like, it's not even the best boss music in its own game. And we'll talk about music in general, basically right after this. But I thought it was good. Like, I've been listening to it on and off, but man, it does fit. I will say it does fit.
Yeah, absolutely. Right.
And it's like it's like a 9-minute song too, which is awesome. I love that. Like, and here's the thing. I say this, but like this is also on the level of quality I'm expecting from Falcom game music at this point.
Yes,
which is better. It clears 90% of all other games.
Yeah,
like, by default. But this fight, I gotta say, it's probably the hardest fight in the franchise so far.
I agree. And part of that definitely is because of the gimmick that shows itself, I think, in like the latter half of it, where like it's constantly splitting and then refusing, right, and like regaining like pools of HP back and so on. Depending on how you approach it, it can maybe feel like a bit of an artificial stretch, and maybe that's actually just straight up what it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what happened with that was like, so like you have all the ads, and then I scanned one of them, and it's like, can be reabsorbed to turn back the clock. I'm like, oh, I don't want any of that happening. And so like I tried to focus those before dealing with the second half of that boss fight. But I had it proc on me once.
Right.
And then because like they add like 2 physical guards and 2 arts reflects.
Yeah, jerks.
Each. And I'm like, oh my god. And so I had the galaxy brain play of trying to inflict statuses. Because status spells had big ranges, and arts reflects don't. They only reflect damage.
Yeah.
And then I ended up doing physical damage anyway to kill them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had. Sorry, I had it reset like once, and that sucked. But I also noticed at some point I think you just stopped paying attention to them.
Yep, pretty much.
I think you just kind of forgot they were there.
Yeah, well,
and so like, I think that's why it kept doing it.
Yeah.
So I was like trying to do AoE damage as much as possible, which fortunately Noelle made that really easy.
Yeah, right. Like there was actually a point, I think maybe during that fight or another fight, where I was like, dang, like having Noelle actually be viable for me right now, because obviously I had long since stopped investing in her.
Oh yeah.
Would have been a good idea, but alas.
Well, Rishia has that one craft where she like hits everything and then sucks them in and then hits them again, which is awesome, by the way. And I think that actually breaks both. I think that hits twice.
It would. Yeah, it would. It's useful on anything that can actually be moved. Because there have been a couple of times where I'll try to use it on something and it just kind of like sits there. And so like the second swing is immediately invalidated. And I'm like, all right, well, you know what? It's cool.
There's a character in Cold Steel 2 who has the exact same craft.
Yeah.
And because Cold Steel 2 is busted in half with how crafts refund, if there are 3 enemies on the field,
oh yeah, you just get that back.
It literally refunds the whole craft.
Oh my gosh.
It's like one of my favorite bits of the whole game. It's just spamming that. It's amazing. But yeah, like I had a rough time with that fight. Because it can that thing can clear your buffs. It can move you wherever it damn well pleases. It's like the party's over there now. Haha. And take 8k damage each. Why not?
Yeah,
you're all separated? Nah, group up again, please. Thanks. It's incredibly rude. And then it has a like final countdown type craft, which I apparently killed it the turn before it was going to do it, and it literally game overs you.
Oh my god.
It's literally a craft that just goes, all right, game over. It resets because like canonically it like resets the whole universe or whatever.
Right, exactly. Yeah. I remember when that was going to be popped off, and I can't remember how fast I cleared it, but I definitely got that sense. Like my spidey sense was tingling, and I was like, oh, we got to get him out of here.
I felt no stress, no danger. I'm like, all right, it's got a long wind up. Sweet. I have damage. Let's do this.
Oh my god.
Was not paying attention, wasn't considering anything. I just like impeded it once, but and I was like, all right, I've impeded it. Let's go. But like the impede didn't take, obviously.
Of course.
But because it didn't have like an AoE anywhere, I didn't notice.
Oh my god.
So I'm like, it's gonna have a normal turn. Oh, I might be able to race this though. And it was just so very funny. What happens after? I don't remember the exact order of operations.
So of course, everything resets. In terms of like, Kia's back to being a little girl again. Mm-hmm. They go up and they speak with her. They get her back, of course. She transforms back, which is nice.
Oh yeah, I loved also because Mirabelle was really kind of blasé about it. She's like, you win some, you lose some.
Yeah. I actually think pretty much like what happens afterwards is just before she turns back into a little girl, Lloyd runs in solo. And he's I gotta get her back. And everybody's like, yo, dude, are you stupid? Like, this thing is like literally self-destructing or something. He's like, no, I'm coming back with Kia. Don't worry. And then we're in the void. And then you get the guy scene.
One of the best scenes.
Honestly. So for context of this scene, everyone, like this, you're sort of like, I guess, between, I don't know, dimensions, timelines, whatever, everything, all at once. And so being between, I guess, causalities, I'll say, you are coming across a future that I guess was maybe cooking in the background because Kia was putting together the pieces, for Guy to have come back to life. As if he had never died, along with everybody else that would have been revived as of the crazy plans that Grimwood was up to and so on. Yeah. But, so you see Lloyd and Guy have a little heart to heart, and Guy is the character that Lloyd tells who you got your final Bond scene with.
Yeah, and he's like, and Guy's like, all right, I ship it.
Yeah. and like you immediately, like, for me at least, I was immediately upset. I was like, come on, he is the greatest character already. And he literally just got here.
I know, right? Dude, we need the Guy Banning's game. We need the Guy's Banning spinoff, please. Like, we know how it ends, but I don't care.
Right, like just let us play. It could be like a 20 to 30 hour game. It doesn't have to be long.
Just make Dirge of Cerberus, but it's Guy Bannings doing the entire like pre crossbell arc thing. It would be great.
Yeah, literally.
I'd play that. I'd play the hell out of that.
Seriously, I would love for that. Yeah, and so you have a nice little heart to heart with him and stuff, and he's like, well, I guess I should be going now, and enjoy the rest of your life. And Lloyd runs off into the void in order to look for his little girl who is sitting in the dark.
Yeah.
So those two connect there. I thought that scene was actually really, really nice too, of course.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's there that she transforms back, and they they go home together, and it's so nice. Well, I say go home, they're still in the tree, which I guess is about to self-destruct and collapse in and of itself.
Yeah.
Now that Kia is no longer powering it.
And
go ahead.
And then Mirabelle's like, oh, I guess this place is gonna fall apart. You got like a couple hours, but I gotta go. I had an interview, and so I got a new job with Ouroboros. They have like an opening, so I'm an Angui now. Peace.
Yeah, just skipped ahead in the ranks of Ouroboros. She just like that.
She's insane. Like,
oh yeah,
we just let her teleport away.
Yeah. Oh, and then when she's leaving, she's like, "Oh, by the way, Grimwood's actually alive."
Yeah, I put him in suspended animation.
Yeah. What?
You could just say you missed. It's fine. You could just say you suck. Whatever. We're not mad at you.
Right.
And then
honestly, yeah.
Credits roll.
Yep, credits roll. And they're the rudest credits ever.
Oh my god, right? So much stuff. There's so much dude,
it's like nice at first. It's like, oh, okay, after that, everybody went home. And like, we were worried about the future or whatever, but we would tackle that together, right? And it's nice, right? Nice little bow on top. And then they're like, oh yeah, by the way, Crossbow ends up being occupied by Erebonia for the next 2 years.
Yeah, and also
giving us the names, like.
Yeah, and then it's like, oh, the credit scroll, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, what? Bro.
Oh yeah, Osborne's alive, and we're it sucks. Kind of sucks here.
Yep. Unreal.
Oh my god. And then like Wald's hanging out with Wazzy. I guess he's like one of his Grail sitter knights or whatever. And I'm like,
yeah.
And I'm like, and you see everyone doing stuff. Lloyd's like hanging out in the snow with Kia, and I'm like, huh?
Yeah. And like, I want to say for at least the first few seconds, there wasn't even like music. It was just quiet after that drop.
Yeah, because like the tree. Oh yeah, it's a quiet. And then the music for the credits is so good.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, let's talk about the music of this game. I think we've recapped the story. It's only taken us like an hour and a half, 2 hours to recap this finale.
That's about what I expected.
Yeah. So we can agree that Get Over the Barriers, the boss theme for Lloyd Banning specifically,
absolutely,
right?
Yes. Yes.
And just the sheer quantity of variants that song has in like just not just these games, but across all of the different like remix albums Falcom's done. There's 9 versions of Get Over the Barrier.
Yeah.
And
that's wild.
Yeah, and I think they kind of knew they hit on something gold there. And I know that's a Zero song. And I feel like that's the Zero, like, main battle theme. But in this game, they even remixed it there's a new mix of it called A Barrier to Get Over, which is like a sad version.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Which is insane. Seize the Truth is peak though, right? Speaking
absolutely.
Of normal battle themes. Absolutely,
yes.
Like it
might be my favorite of the regular battle themes now.
It's probably either that or I really like Glint of Cold Steel.
Yeah,
Glint of Cold Steel is really good.
Yeah, it is.
Like, here's the problem. I don't know that I could pick a favorite because like Sophisticated Fight,
yeah,
like it's real good. Get Over the Barrier. I think Seize the Truth is the one that's the most hype, though. I think it's the one
Absolutely.
that like I jam to the most.
Yes.
I wish there was more variants. I wish there were more remixes of it. I just love it so much. It's so good. And I think we talked about the Azure Arbitrator, the final boss music, and I think that was fine. Like,
Yeah, it was okay.
Good. It's good. It's fitting.
Yes.
And it feels epic. It feels like a Falcom final boss, and it is good. What are some of your favorite tracks though that are like not necessarily combat themes?
I really like the Orcus Tower theme. I thought that was really, really like it's a fun theme. It gives you that sense of like sort of a triumphant
Grandeur,
air, right?
Yeah,
that's a great word actually, grandeur, because like wow, like you're in this giant freaking tower and everything's all like clean and polished and all these high-ranking individuals like occupy the space and so on, right? Like it was a very important place, and the music also gives you the sense of what the purpose of at least some of the events of the game is for within the tower, which would be like the conference, right? It's like, hey, Crossbell is making steps to move forward and everything's going to be great. We're moving to a brighter future together, so on and so forth. I feel like all of that gets encapsulated within the Orcus Tower theme. Really, really good. I also really like Exhilarating Ride. That's yeah.
I actually don't like that track.
Really?
It's not a bad track. All right. I will say it's not a bad track, but like it's probably, in my opinion, one of the weaker like common calm OSTs.
Yeah. I get what you mean.
I don't know, man. I just, whatever the variant of it from Zero was, I think was, my God. This dude's just doing laps.
Oh my God.
Life. I think like the travel music in like Zero and the travel music in Cold Steel is like a little bit better in my opinion. Like it's not a bad
I get why
track,
you say that. Yeah.
but like it was not my favorite. A New Daily Life, the new Afternoon in Crossbell kind of track is really good.
Yeah, it is.
And if it weren't for the fact that I absolutely 100% hate the Pom Party mini game, I would honestly say that the boss music for that versus Campanella, the Fateful Confrontation version, is really good.
It is really good.
Mission Wonderland had a good theme too.
Mission Wonderland was nice, actually. Yeah.
All Knowing One has like really good and sinister. Unexpected Emergency.
Yes.
They used it as a boss music, but it's also like the general crisis music. If you have like I think 2 party members down, it starts playing and holy crap, that song goes hard.
Right?
Like what the hell? It's so good.
Yeah, it like gets me the same level of pumped that like like Pokemon Black and White's crisis music kind of did, right?
Oh my God, right.
It's like the same kind of shift.
Yeah, definitely. Unfathomed Force, the boss music when you are fighting Arianrod and a few other important late game boss fights. Jeez.
Just good.
The final boss music, I'm looking at the playlist of the soundtrack in front of me. Tree at Farthest End, the final dungeon music was super good.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It's just, look, this soundtrack,
a lot of good music.
this is like, I think I said during the Zero review that Zero had one of the most consistently good soundtracks in any video game.
Yes.
And I think Zero continued that.
Or you mean Azure continued that?
Or Azure, yeah. Well, I don't know what I just said.
You said Zero, but you're good.
Okay, I said Zero twice. Yeah, like the Crossbow games, like the Crossbow duology has one of the best soundtracks. Like if you could look at them combined, it's easily one of the best soundtracks in all of gaming. And and like there's some good soundtracks. Like I would look at Chrono Cross is like one of the best soundtracks I think in like the PlayStation era.
Yep.
I'm actually okay. What do you think is the Game Boy game that has the best overall soundtrack?
Oh man.
And you can go like Game Boy Advance. I'll even let you do DS if you really want.
Oh my gosh.
Because I have a definitive answer for this.
Right.
That's a hard one, right?
Yeah, especially when I include like the other libraries, because when I think Game Boy Color, my mind immediately goes towards like the Zelda like Oracle games.
Mm-hmm.
So I recall those two games having a pretty solid soundtrack. Oh God, Advance. Oh my God,
Game Boy Advance brings in like the Golden Sun games too.
Yeah,
and Golden Sun's soundtrack slaps.
Right.
I would have to say that like the reason I say Game Boy specifically is because I think Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening has the perfect soundtrack.
Yeah.
And I say like the Oracle games, good soundtracks. But like Link's Awakening, and I've said this before, has it understood the assignment of making a good sounding soundtrack with the Game Boy sound chip.
Yep. Oh yeah.
And like even listening to the game, like you can listen to the game soundtrack on YouTube, you can listen to like an orchestrated version, you can listen to the remakes version. And those are good. But I think that game understood that it was using the Game Boy sound chip to its maximum potential.
Yes.
And I would love if someone, down in the comments, like by all means, if there's a game you think sounds best from a Game Boy, like by all means tell me, because I want to put it into my ears.
Yes, please.
Like, yeah. And because I don't even think it sounds as good like on a YouTube. I think out of the Game Boy, physically, like holding a Game Boy in my hand, listening to that soundtrack is like the best. As on that system.
I gotta get my hands on. I was going to say get my hands on a Game Boy, but I should still have my Game Boy Color somewhere, actually. So, yeah.
I know that I have a Game Boy somewhere, probably up in my dad's house.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like, yeah, it's wild, man.
Amazing.
Any other songs from Azure? I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted. Azure.
No, you're fine.
You want to talk about?
The only other song really that I could think of, and teehee bias, but A Night of Falling Stars.
The Rishia theme.
So good. It's so good. It fits in the like 2 or 3 instances that it plays in. Beautiful song.
It's very, very good.
Like it captures the, I guess, like the Eastern sound or whatever that might be interpreted as. And then like it also is definitely something that would be playing at an Arc and Seal show. Like it mixes a bunch of things about Risha's character into it. And I love it. I hear all of it. I just love it. I can't put it into words because I'm not a music major or anything, but it's beautiful and I hear it.
There are a lot of like video game music channels that I would love to be like, hey, go look at the Crossbell games.
Yeah,
I want you to talk to me about leitmotifs.
Yeah.
To Be Continued is another phenomenal song.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Which is from the Zero Super Arrange album.
Yeah.
The Zero Super Arrange album is so good. I love Super Arrange albums. They're so amazing.
It's amazing, yeah.
And the use of To Be Continued during the Zamarian Trade Conference was just I love it. I'm sorry. All right.
Good game.
It was a good game. Any last thoughts?
None here. Well, we definitely have done a lot of gushing about this game, so I think the message is clear. Play this game.
Please do. Please play this game. If somehow you've listened to us talk about this game over the course of 5 reviews for like 8 hours and you haven't played this game, just do it. Yep,
honestly.
Like, and if you have played it, I don't know, play it again, man. It's a good video game.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if you haven't, if you haven't do it, maybe do a completionist. There's some New Game Plus stuff. There's a New Game Plus dungeon.
Yeah.
That neither of us have experienced. Maybe it's good. We don't know.
Yeah, no idea.
But I think that this is probably one of the greatest video games of all time, and I'm gonna legitimately have to go play a couple other video games that are on that list to do a proper assessment.
Yeah, honestly, I'm in full agreement. This is easily one of the greatest games of all time, and it's fortunate now that we have it. But wow, like I wonder what it would look like if we had gotten a localization of this, way back when, right? Like on the PSP or PS Vita when it originally came out and everything. Like if we had gotten this then, what would be different today? But we're seeing ripples already, right? With the release of Reverie and people now asking about this game because Reverie's marketing seems to have been doing pretty well. And so we have a lot of people asking about the series, like, what's going on, where do we start, and so on. And we actually have a video on that for Reverie if you are interested.
Oh man, how weird is that?
And it's good.
I love this game, and I'm really glad that we both got to sit here and talk about it. Felix, that's I think that's it. I think we did it. This was season 2 of One More for the Road. We will be back for season 3. It's going to be a little different. It's going to be a little different, everyone.
Yeah,
but hopefully you like it. But this has been One More for the Road.